The Piz Beverin towers almost unassumingly above the nature park that takes its name. Located in the canton of Graubünden, or canton of the Grisons, Beverin Nature Park includes peaks that rise up to 3,000 meters above sea level. Early each morning, gamekeeper Hans Gartmann climbs up to the ibex to check on their well-being. He's spent his whole life in the park. He knows it inside out, knows every animal. It's a breathtaking landscape that attracts growing numbers of hikers. Many come to see the ibex. Some 60 years ago, Gartmann's father witnessed the reintroduction of ibex to this 400 square kilometer sized park. For him, the park is virtually family terrain.
It's a lovely morning. Getting up early while the air is still cool, climbing up to observe them. That's wonderful. The silence is amazing. I just let it wash over me. Experiencing that, enjoying the morning and climbing up there. What could be better?
The 64-year-old is retiring and will be looking after the wild animals here for the last time this summer. Saying goodbye is not easy. Safeguarding the colony is a matter that's close to his heart and challenging at the same time. Just a few years ago, a disease decimated the herd. In light of the many tourists, it's once again crucial to find a healthy balance. An ibex lookout point is located on a mountain pass some 2,600 meters high on the Alpes-Mountains. The ungulates used to be more trusting and more readily seen. This morning, he only chances upon eagles and bearded vultures.
This is the summer pasture for the ibex. 30 to 40 bucks climb up the mountainside to graze here all summer. The iconic ibex is a symbol of this Alpine nature park, but tourism is encroaching on their habitat, and thus fewer animals can be sustained here.
Hans Gartmann has to keep looking. At the same time, in the Sapphine Valley, on the north side of Beverin Nature Park, clinging to these steep hills are the stunning mountainous pastures where only sheep can graze. Without them, they would long since have become overgrown. This morning, some 600 animals are being herded onto a neighboring pasture. Man and beast alike need to get every step just right on this terrain. Their path leads through a narrow stream-carved ravine. It's tedious, hard work to cultivate land here, but this is what it takes to preserve some of the most inaccessible parts of the Sapphine Valley. The shepherds come up here every 2 or 3 days. They team up to look after the animals in the summer months. For the past 3 years, since wolves have returned to this area, guard dogs have been protecting the flock. Otherwise, they would be easy prey on this remote hillside. Five dogs are busy guarding the sheep around the clock. An alpine summer in Graubünden. What used to be fairly trouble-free has become more strenuous. Guiding livestock to their seasonal pasture has always been energy-sapping work. But now the shepherds also fear attacking wolves. No other canton has as many wolf packs. Sheep farmer Simon Buchli takes guidance from gamekeeper Paul Gartmann concerning infectious livestock and wildlife diseases and the wolves. The gamekeepers spot wolves from time to time on their rounds. So far, the guard dogs are living up to expectations, and there have been no attacks. Simon Buchli returned to Switzerland after completing a degree in agriculture. Now he has to deal with these predators as part of his new daily routine.
Herding
animals to the Alpine pastures is no longer possible without guard dogs. This will probably hold true for all of Switzerland before long. For now, dogs are our only solution. The question is, how long will it work before the wolves learn to outsmart the dogs? How many dogs will we need in the long term? Will 5 be enough? Or will it take more than that? The extra work and expense could eventually prove prohibitive.
Love for their native land keeps Simon and his wife Anita motivated to carry on.
Tip-top! Aras, komm! Gehen wir futtern! Es gibt nichts anderes. Also, wenn wir nicht so wären, würden wir aufhören. Und das ist
Quitting is not an option for either of us.
Ja,
We have to deal with the situation and somehow try to fade out the danger when we climb up there. You get this uneasy feeling, though, until you get to the top and see that everything is fine. And then you enjoy it. But I have to say that we are very fortunate in that we have a gamekeeper who alerts us when he spots wolves in the area. It's a really good thing that we work together like that. Often enough, gamekeepers and farmers don't collaborate. But here it couldn't be better. We are very happy about that.
Eine Symbiose, ja. Da sind wir sehr froh. Ja.
People stick together in the Safin Valley. It's always been that way in this remote region. Otherwise, the solitude up here would be rather unbearable. A paradise in summer, this steep mountainous region has little to offer humans in winter. You won't find any ski lifts up here. Even in July, gamekeeper Hans Garbmann still has to navigate some patches of snow while he's looking for the ibex. Animal tracks.
Ja, das ist eindeutig eine Gemse.
This imprint is definitely from a chamois. You can tell by the splayed hooves. It's clearly distinguishable from an ibex track, which is more rounded. The chamois' splayed hooves allow it to run more sure-footedly in the scree or on snow, where it will sink less deeply. The ibex' main habitat is rocky areas, and its pads give it good traction on steep crags and flat rock alike.
Die kleben auf dem Fels und da findet sehr gut Tritt auf einem flachen.
I'm guessing that the ibex are further down on the rocky parts, where they spend the daytime in a protected spot.
Diesen felsigen Partien, wo sie sich in die Tageslage zurückziehen, wo sie Schutz finden.
You're not likely to see any hikers here on these steep rocks. It's a good place for the ibex to retreat to. They've long since spotted the gamekeeper.
Da oben sind Steintiere.
I see the ungulates up there. 2 adult does and 5 kids. 3 are from last year's litter.
3 letztjährige Kitze.
So far, none are from this year. Ibex and their young are like children. The does are calmer. They lie down to rest. The kids lie down too, but then they get up again to play, frolic, or putt with one another. They're always in motion.
Oder putschen miteinander. Da ist immer etwas Bewegung drin.
The animals are healthy, but protecting their rest areas is extremely important. Shortly before retirement, Hans Gartmann hopes that the peaceful coexistence between humans and animals will continue in the future.
I hope that nature can be preserved to the greatest possible extent. It's the basis of existence. The more we encroach upon nature, the more nature's mechanisms are disrupted. Nature is a matter of eating or being eaten. And so it's important to have as many endemic species here as possible. This way we can enjoy pristine nature and have authentic experiences, like here at our doorstep.
Natur pur und das Erlebnis haben wir so vor der Haustür.
Nature, pure and simple. Nearing the end of his career, Gartmann faces a new challenge in the guise of tourists and wolves. It's conceivable that the ibex are retreating to rockier areas because of the wolves. This predator specializes in red deer, which is a benefit here because an overabundance of deer is damaging the forests. But this still leaves mankind and their livestock as potential targets. The gamekeepers share information on the wolves' whereabouts. One was fitted with a transmitter. They were surprised at how quickly the young animal wandered off. Just a few days ago, Paul Gartmann, who also helps look after the sheep, caught a wolf in the act.
If anyone had told me a long time ago that I would see lynx and wolves in the Safin Valley during my game wardening days, I wouldn't have believed it. But that's how it is. It's new and exciting, and for sure it also instills respect.
Gleichzeitig auch Respekt, also das muss man ganz klar sagen.
Last year, the Beverin wolf pack saw the birth of 7 puppies. They may resemble dogs, but they're shy and run away when they see people. An info campaign was needed.
Ich denke schon, dass Angst vorhanden ist und auch in der Bevölkerung.
Indeed, there's a sense of fear, not just among farmers who keep livestock, but in the general population. It's a new situation for all of us. We don't know where this is headed.
Eine gewisse Erfahrung, aber wohin das geht?
It will take time and a circumspect approach to deal with this.
Das braucht ganz sicher Zeit und braucht viel Gefühl, mit dem umzugehen.
Biodiversity, spectacular scenery, and a culture that is deeply rooted in the landscape. The pristine Safin Valley has figured out how to be innovative while preserving its character. In around 1300, poor Valison mountain farmers from Rheinwald moved across the ridge in search of better farmland. They settled here, but had to make do with the acreage that was still available. The steep hillsides of the remote Safin Valley, for example. Nature, silence, seclusion and quaintness are still among the defining attributes of the Valison's Valley. The locals uphold their traditions. Eva Gredig works as a shingle maker. Reliving a centuries-old craft, she uses local wood to roof the old Valison homes.
The way the wood splits is wonderful. We refer to the sound it makes as shingle music. Some of the wood from this valley is sold as tone wood. In fact, our shingle wood comes close to tone wood in terms of quality. I love to tell people that I make singing shingles.
Good shingles are made with wood from slow, straight-growing trees. Uniform and durable, this wood is hand-split to preserve its fibres. It gives the wood superior water-draining properties, compared to shingles sawn by a machine. All that's left to do is buff the wood.
When I make the shingles, I climb up the roof to envision the shape of the next shingle for best results as I install them. I might need to cut away a corner to achieve a better fit.
This kind of craftsmanship has many benefits. The local wood stays here in the valley, sustainable jobs are created, and it helps to future-proof the Safin Valley. Chur, the canton capital, can only be reached via a narrow road. In wintertime, it's very lonely here.
Last winter was harsh. The snow and cold conditions lasted 8 months. Nothing grew in the gardens. Flowers needed to be taken back inside. The cattle stayed in the barn. But then finally, it suddenly warms up. It rains and nature just explodes. This year, summer has arrived without the precursor of spring. The grass is already tall. A great number of livestock of all kinds can be found in the valley. Anything from Icelandic horses to Highland sheep, yaks, steers and cows. The milking parlours are busy and the sheep have arrived. Tourism is in full swing. And then autumn will arrive. The restaurants close, the cattle are herded to their winter pasture, and a quiet falls over the valley. But I really enjoy that too, just being here by myself. I like to hear the creek rushing, the birds singing. Then it's just me and no one else. That's nice.
Das ist schön.
A piece of nature at the foot of Beverin. Not much has changed here over the centuries. Wooden roofs still embellish some of the old houses. Eva Gredig founded an association for the preservation of shingle roofs. She installs them herself, together with a colleague. Homeowners are compensated for part of the roof restoration costs.
Shingles
have a long tradition here. The Valaisans who settled this valley had to make do with what they found here, the forest and the wood. So they made wood shingles to cover their homes. Stones, tiles or reeds were not available. All over the world, people use what they have on hand to build their roofs. All the old shingle roofs here will be renewed. The craft and the traditions will live on. I'm running out of various shingles, Jakob. Do you still have enough? So you're out too?
I'll go back and get some.
Yes, please be so kind. Bring back a bundle.
Using the past as a kind of blueprint for a sustainable future, entirely in keeping with the spirit of the nature park.
I'm here. Thank you. Yes, nature reigns supreme here. We live with it in summer and in winter. It's fantastic to be standing here on this meadow with Beverin right behind me. It rises 3,000 meters above sea level, and we're located at 1,600 meters. Practically the entire valley lies before us, and the view reaches to the opposite side. You can see the beautiful hut settlement in the Zalona Alps, and of course I love the forest that surrounds me. Wood is my element. It doesn't get any nicer than this.
Das Holz, mein Element. Ja, also schöner kann's nicht sein.
The next morning, some 25 kilometers further, the nature park's northern section has another highlight in store, the Rhine Gorge. Formed about 10,000 years ago by a rock slide, this canyon, which is 14 kilometers long and reaches a depth of 400 meters, attracts droves of tourists. Nature reigns supreme in the inaccessible parts. In other areas, the flow of tourists needs to be managed by park rangers. Magdalene Feaster knows the most environmentally fragile areas and guides visitors around them. For example, during the breeding season of the endangered sandpiper, which depends on free-flowing rivers, such as the Vorderrhein.
Die Nester vom Flussuferläufer, die findet man vor allem an der
Sandpiper nests are mainly found on the far side of the gravel island, where there's a grass strip. So basically between the grass and the bushes. A sandpiper goes up to the waterfront and into shallow water to look for worms or small animals. To watch them, you should proceed to the riverbank. This bird doesn't fly high. As its name suggests, it often walks along the sandy riverside.
Just like the rangers, it covers mile after mile on foot. A railway track runs through the gorge, but to discover the true natural beauty of the area, it's best to travel on foot. The variety of orchids is what most captivates the environmental engineer. Plants thrive in the steep Erica pine forests, which are home to countless rare species of orchids.
Schön.
Nice.
Hier haben wir das rote Waldvögelein.
This is a red helleborine.
Die lichten Erika-Föhrenwälder.
The sparse Erica pine forests are ideally suited for orchids. Since these spots are rarely visited and not cultivated, the orchids are undisturbed and have enough time to form seeds. Sometimes orchid seeds don't mature until October. If the plant were to be mown down before then, its seeds wouldn't grow into plants. It is also important for the orchid roots to reabsorb storage substances. If they get mown down beforehand, they will eventually starve out.
Biodiversity to behold and marvel at, a treasure to preserve. The ranger shows hikers that respect for nature leads to an even better park experience.
Die Arbeit in der Rheinschlucht ist für mich auch eine Herzensangelegenheit, weil
For me, working in the Rhine Gorge is a labor of love. This canyon is one of a kind. There are so many beautiful things to see here. I love all the details in nature and the interaction of nature. Many people in the lowlands, in the cities, can't even perceive these details anymore, partly because in many places they no longer exist. But here, we still have pristine nature. Some corners of this canyon are untouched by humankind. We try to raise awareness that such spots still exist here.
Beverin Nature Park. The concentrated beauty can take your breath away. Apart from Ruin Alta, other must-see spots include the Via Mala and Roffler gorges on the Hinterrhein, aka Posterior Rhine, which is the Rhine's second source river at the southern end of the park. Above the Rhine and the Rhine Gorge lies the Schamseberg, where locals speak Rhito-Romanic, the fourth national language of Switzerland. Little villages adorn the Beverin's southeastern flank. Due to its southern exposure, the mountainside flanking the village of Kasti is known for its dry meadows. These unspoiled, species-rich habitats have been farmed the same way for centuries and are considered to be of national importance. Inconspicuous at first glance, their astounding biodiversity makes them a paradise for nature enthusiasts. The gold shimmering rose beetle is one of the rare and protected species found here.
Hier hängt eine Weite aus und diese Biene versteckt.
Peter Müller is more focused on snails. On assignment by Sebastian Nagelmüller of the Nature Park, he's mapping rare snail species. Their presence is an indicator of an intact ecosystem. One such snail species is the zebra snail.
Also diese Stelle scheint ihnen besonders zu passen.
This spot seems to suit them particularly. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 zebra snails here. They used to be common, but today the zebra snail is considered endangered in Switzerland. This is due to loss of habitat because of overbuilding, bush encroachment and fertilization effects, which cause rough pastures to become overgrown with moss. These snails need open ground environments.
Schnecke ist auf offenem Boden angewiesen.
Unlike many of its fellow species, these barely 2-centimeter-long snails love warmth and sunlight. In winter, and sometimes during extremely dry periods, they burrow into the ground or into stone crevices. A habitat full of riches. The sheep are driven onto these steep slopes twice a year. Their footfall keeps the soil open and grazing prevents the invasion of shrubs. Sebastian Nagelmüller could spend hours in the meadow.
Die Trockenwiese ist quasi ein Ökosystem in sich.
The dry meadow is practically its own ecosystem.
Viele Dinge zusammenspielen.
Many things interact here to create a richly structured habitat for diverse organisms.
Organismen genutzt werden kann. Wir sehen einfach ständig
We constantly see butterflies and beetles in the air. We hear grasshoppers singing.
zahlreichen Heuschrecken.
It's a beautiful, vibrant place.
Schöner, lebendiger Ort. Ja.
Just ahead, a tiny creature. The endangered four-toothed turret snail is on the move. The rearmost part of the steep slope is becoming overgrown. Not many want to take on such tedious farm work anymore. Sebastian Nagelmüller supports those who do.
I think we'll only grasp the loss of biodiversity once it's gone. It goes hand in hand with lost ecosystem function. But by then, it's usually too late. We won't be able to simply restore habitat. That's why we need to be proactive now. We need to develop the right ideas now.
Developing ideas still works at Beverin Nature Park. Perhaps the natural beauty here is inspiring. It certainly inspires Rebecca Klopart, a farmer and nature cook.
Jetzt haben wir eigentlich hier die Lärchen, sind wir jetzt gerade dran.
So this is larch, also known as tamarack. It has a nice lemony, fresh taste. It tastes like the forest right after it has rained. Just add some fresh butter.
This Graubünden native wants to show how the aromas of nature can unfold and harmonize. Many of the customary plants offer taste experiences that are new to most of us.
Die Natur ist eigentlich omnipräsent, das ist eigentlich das A und O. Für mich ist das
Nature is ubiquitous here.
den man nutzen
I
darf.
have at my fingertips this huge garden from which I am privileged to harvest. I can take whatever I please. The least I can do is be very thankful to be allowed to experience nature in this way. It's a wonderful gift of nature to be able to gather these exceptional ingredients and take them home with me.
Rebecca is known throughout the country as a nature chef. She's worked in several renowned restaurants in Switzerland. But having grown up on a farm, she decided to return to it. She missed the proximity to all the natural products that are also culturally rooted here.
It's truly wonderful to be able to go outdoors and discover all these flavors that you can take with you. But mainly I am inspired by our culture, our history, and the way we live here in the Alps. That is what inspires the new dishes I create.
5 years ago, the 33-year-old returned to her birthplace of Lorn. Just about everything she needs for her close-to-nature cuisine is sourced up here. Rebecca took over her parents' organic farm and runs an event catering business on the side. Some ingredients are bought locally, but most of her close-to-nature fare is homemade. Bread, for example. Her mother Wilma helps whenever possible.
Have you already completed the first round? You're amazing. Should I divide it into portions?
Rebecca relies on her family, especially her mother.
Actually, my mother has the upper hand. She's the one who knows how to do everything. I'm just the assistant. You could say that I make the dough while she makes the fire. We share the work.
In keeping with old traditions, the sourdough bread is baked in a wood-burning stove.
That's a crucial moment.
Hardcore-Moment.
Cooking and eating the old-fashioned way, no convenience products. While the bread is baking, other farm matters require their attention. The Clawparts are fifth-generation farmers. Rebecca's parents were already committed to organic farming. Meat, vegetables and dairy products, whatever worked, came from their own farm. Farming in the middle of the village is still common in this Rito-Romanic valley. Clocks here tick more slowly than elsewhere. Slow and sustainable. That's always been the philosophy that guides the Clawpart family.
We have always eaten our own food, simple food. Sometimes we'd eat potatoes and sauerkraut for weeks on end. Vegetables were preserved and kept in storerooms. Good and simple food is always best. It doesn't go out of style. I think we're experiencing a period of change. We're done with exotic dishes and we're refocusing on regional ingredients.
In the afternoon, the weather changes. But there's still plenty of work to do, even if no guests come today. Rebecca's father gets ready to milk the cows, as he does every evening at 6 o'clock. Most of the cows are further up the mountain pasture. Only one stay behind to provide milk for the household and the young bulls. This is the everyday life that Rebecca grew up with.
Ja, ich bin halt jetzt nicht so romantisch, Heidi-mäßig wieder zurück.
I'm rather pragmatic. I didn't return to the romantic notion of that TV cartoon world of Heidi, the girl of the Alps. I'm embracing a holistic concept with my work here. It is very involved and time-consuming, but the hard work pays off. You delight in having fresh harvested vegetables on your plate, or watching juniper plants as they grow. That means a lot more to me than when I find these items in a supermarket.
This is down-to-earth, creative work. There's a distinct lack of pretension in the way the clawparts go about their work. The days are long and strenuous, but the cycle of nature is being completed here. We are, after all, a part of nature, Rebecca says. Unfortunately, we have a tendency to forget that.
Alles gut.
The next morning, the mountains are cloaked in fog. On the Niazza Alp, where the clawparts cows spend the summer at an altitude of 2,000 meters, the cheesemakers are already busy working. Here, cheese is still made on a wood fire, following an age-old tradition. Nature Park employee Sebastian Nagelmüller is visiting. Cheesemaking is what originally brought the German to this area 6 years ago. Lisa and Fabian are Austrian nationals. It's unusual to find locals who do this tough job. Fabian teaches the ropes to the new cheesemaker.
So now we will cut the curd mass.
The key is to cut the curd cleanly and evenly with the cutting harp. The finer it's cut, the better for the quality of the cheese. This is one of the most important steps in cheesemaking. A lot hinges on how well this is done. Good staff is in short supply, and Alpine cooperatives are desperately looking for extra hands. Sebastian Nagelmüller champions sustainable production. He's a former Alpine dairyman. So, as a former professional dairyman, what's your verdict?
The curd mass has been very finely cut.
Really? You think so? It's very uniformly cut. It's perfect. You're a fabulous dairymaid.
I've never seen a cheese loaf extracted from the curd mass before.
You've never seen it done before? It's actually very last century. Our methods are very traditional in all respects. Cheese after cheese is hand-lifted into forms. In modern factories, a hoist is used for this step. But this popular Graubünden Alpine cheese embodies a love of tradition. The ripening process will take at least 2 months. We've somehow managed to keep the product cycle complete up here. Everything is still done in one place. Down in the valley's capitalist world, this is very uncommon. It's nice that new business models allow for everything to be done in one place. Sometimes hikers come by and purchase a piece of cheese. At the end of the day, thus the farmers get back everything directly. And they also market their products directly. But indeed, somewhat higher milk and cheese prices would help. This is very hard work. Sebastian Nagelmüller leaves them now to continue his mission for the park elsewhere. Across from the Alpine dairy, the meadows are in full bloom at the beginning of July.
The vegetation on the Alp-Mountains is remarkable in that we have various habitats next to one another. We have fen vegetation directly adjacent to the dry meadows, which naturally results in extremely high biodiversity. The fens and dry meadows are of national importance. They can, however, be farmed if certain conditions are met. In fact, mowing the dry meadows regularly is critical for preserving this biodiversity. When it comes to the fens, they mustn't be trampled by large grazing animals. But since cows don't like the horsetails and sour grasses that grow there, this isn't much of a problem.
This biodiversity is worth protecting. It would also be lost if the cows were to disappear from the alpine pastures. To keep the cows on their mountainous summer pastures, it takes all year-round buyers for the milk. A dairy in Ander, down in the Schamseberg Valley, makes it possible. In summertime, only farmers who don't make their own cheese on the mountain bring their milk here. It was they who persuaded cheesemaker Martin Binet, aka Flo or Flea, to take over this dairy business. Some of the local residents are already waiting for fresh milk.
At the beginning of summer, most of the cows are driven up to the alpine pastures. The boy we just saw with the milk, he's the son of a farmer whose cows are on the mountain, grazing, so they have to get their milk from us.
Flo Binet and his wife process around 420,000 litres of organic milk every year. The Allgäu native came to this region some 30 years ago.
This is the best milk. The last swallow from today's delivery. Yesterday I was still grass, milked this very morning. It doesn't get any better than this.
Flo gives farmers a higher price, but it still pays off for him because his customers are willing to spend more for superior quality. In fact, one of them won a gold medal for their hard cheese at the World Cheese Championships.
Actually, cheese making starts right on the pasture. We're located at an altitude of 1,000 meters, so completely different plants grow here. And local farmers make hay here on elevations up to 2,000 meters. So again, completely different plants, flowers, blossoms and seeds. All these magnificent aromas manifest themselves in the taste of our local products. That's a real advantage.
Flo moved to Graubünden because the mountain pastures with their pretty cows caught his fancy. That he would one day run a local village's cheese cellar never would have occurred to him.
Alpine farming is the soul of Graubünden. But since, decade for decade, fewer dairy cows are being herded to these pastures, part of Graubünden's soul is gradually being lost. We figured that dairy farmers could be persuaded to continue their dairy business if they were paid a fair price for their milk. That was our basic premise, and the reason we decided to take over the Alpine dairy. We just needed to find a way that makes it feasible for us to pay this higher price.
The agricultural engineer wants to prove that excellent quality products make sustainable farming possible. His little store is doing well. Regional restaurants are buying his cheeses. Everything he does is in keeping with the spirit of Beverin Nature Park's goal of conserving the natural environment. For 20 summers, Flo has been making cheese in the Graubünden Alps. He has seen the changes. To this day, it's mainly the traditional grey cattle with horns that graze above Ander, at 2,000 meters above sea level. The dairyman pays 25 cents more for their milk. Flo spends every free minute on the mountain to recharge his batteries. He records this love of the Alpine pastures in books.
Only someone who has spent at least 3 months on an alpine pasture can really grasp what they're all about. The sound of the water, the ringing of the cowbells. All of this is music to my ears. It's so calming. Down in the valley, they call this deceleration. I think it's great.
This is super.
The fascination of mountain pastures, in all their majesty and unspoiled beauty, is ever present in Beverin Nature Park.
Man fühlt sich wirklich klein, man kommt endlich auch wieder.
It's imposing and makes you feel so small. It helps us see our place in the order of things. We need nature, but nature doesn't need us. We're just a moment in time. That's why I think it's incredibly important that we take better care of this piece of nature. Simply because it still exists.
It's all about preserving the mountain pastures, the space between heaven and earth, as Martin Binet likes to say, and the stunning natural beauty found at the foot of Beverin.